Let me reignite some hidden pain. Think about Devil is a Part-Timer, No Game No Life, Classroom of the Elite, Bacano, Chivalry of the Fate Knight, Grimgore Fantasy and Ash, Eldormin on the Sky. And if you aren't crying by now, you either haven't watched these shows or you are very strong. The reason you could be crying is the thought that none of these shows are going to get a second season. Now there are two ways of dealing with uncompleted anime. Either you read the light novel, manga, whatever is available, or you take this pain and bury it deep into your soul while you go watch another anime having a faint ray of hope for a second season. For me, it's the latter. But let me tell you that there are some great shows that will never get a second season, and they won't need one because they're already finished. So today I'm talking about 91 Days. It is as complete as a show can possibly be. Set in a small Italian town called Lawless around the year of 1928. The story covers one of the most important aspects of Italy. It's mafia. The setting is fucking amazing and definitely comparable to Peaky Blinders. You got the cool suits, the guns, the drinks and the pasta. The basic synopsis is young boy Angelo has his family killed, escapes, comes back to his town 7 years later to get his revenge. Together with the help of his childhood friend, he infiltrates the mafia family and wants to get close to all the family members for the sake of his vengeance. The pacing is close to perfect. You never think it's too fast, but it's also remarkable how much actual content you could put into just 12 episodes. The build-up is great, you have all these events just piled on one another to be combined in one final catastrophe. The ending was fucking well made. It had this certain element of closure I seldom get from anime. I wasn't left with a gigantic void or desire for a continuation of any sort. It felt like a book with a complete story. Summed up, it's great from start to finish while never borrowing any of the classic anime tropes. Except from a sad backstory, but this is a common feat in normal books, so it doesn't really count. Even though I just praised the story a lot, I often got the feeling that the characters were the one actually keeping me tied to the screen. It was a great mix of having more conventional but still unique and surprising wildcard characters. Uncommon enough, I really like the main character. Despite it being a revenge story and him standing so close next to the murderers of his family, he's mostly calm and collected. And because it tries to stay truthful to history, you don't see the characters doing insane acrobatics and inhumane flick-flacks to fight each other, but instead they often come up with juicy schemes to achieve their goals. Especially Angelo. The mafia family he's infiltrating has a lot of nice and trustworthy characters that grow to your heart. Knowing that Angelo plans on destroying the family, you start to feel kind of bad not knowing which side to choose. Obviously, because this is a revenge story and they got these you are going to see at least some people die. Nonetheless, despite a lot of people dying, the death of the characters doesn't lose meaning. Even if people opposing Angelo die, you can't bring yourself to be happy because of their incomparable and mostly positive personalities. You know, like when watching Goblin Slay, you felt immense pleasure and satisfaction seeing astonishingly creative ways to kill goblins? Every time a goblin got killed, you felt your happiness chemicals overflow? Yeah, it's not like that. The people there have purpose and goals. You are watching Angelo fulfill his revenge, but you also watch all the other characters try to fulfill their selfish desires, which absolutely makes sense. And they're interesting enough that you could make an anime about most of the people in the show. And it's that effort put into creating these sensational identities which result in an even more clusterfucky but logical climax at the end of the series. The art was great. The show is dicks out with violence despite not having any edgy abilities. The fights were smooth, you got a bit of gun go. Topped off with a saturating portion of logical thinking. Disregarding the fights, the vibe was prodigious. The handsome suits that made me regret being born in a world where fashion is all about overpriced sneakers nobody cares about. The constant smoking and drinking, which reminds me of the laid-back style of Spike Spiegel. The closer relationships between the individual mafia family members made me thrive for good terms with my seemingly countless friends. The gloomy criminal ambience with the gangster setting which showed me what a boring and uneventful existence I have. These elements all work together to create a dismal and thrilling atmosphere. It made me want to join the mafia or at the very least commit some crimes. This anime is tight. If you thought about watching something more mature or just gangster stuff, it's perfect. It's a good variation from the usual tropes you see daily while watching anime. I really wish this wasn't an anime so I could recommend it to my non-degenerate friends, because it really is a great story with tight vibes and neat schemes. It kind of was that refill that you sometimes need to understand what great storytelling and characters look like. I mean, there isn't much more to say about this show, so I hope you at least put it on your watch list. Oh yeah, I forgot to say something. It's sad and depressive, but it fades after you finish it because, as I said, the closure the ending gives is amazeballs.